And then there was this guy. This guy moved into town, this Korean guy. His name was Joseph. I'm not too sure what his last name was. I believe his first name was Joseph, but he was a Korean guy. I only talked to him once, and twice actually. It really wasn't. The first conversation was good, and the second conversation was really terrible. This Joseph guy came into town, and I guess from what people told me, he worked for like the Korean government. I don't know if he was. They acted like he was like in the some intelligence thing. He was some military commander guy, some bullshit. They made him sound like he was like a fucking assassin or some shit like that. And he knew he was doing like this leg lock stuff. So I'm like, oh, I gotta try to get with this guy. Well, right before I got to meet this guy, me and this John Bruno guy, we had a falling out. He finally, we probably just got into an argument about him trying to say he's my trainer. He's not my trainer, and and then he's talking shit about me. And back then, if you talk shit about me, I'm coming looking for you. I'm gonna fuck you up. So he was talking shit about me, and he like got all these people, this group of people that were training. He like got them to like not train with me, like they wouldn't train. I kept calling people to try to set up, try to train, and it was like, no, not training, blah, blah. And John Bruno was behind this shit. He was telling everyone not to train with me for some reason. He was like a hater. So I called him up. I talked shit to him. I saw him driving down the road. I tried to run him off the road one time with my car. Like, I'm going to fuck this dude up. I'm the one that wants to do this MMA thing. I want to go somewhere. I want to be, I keep saying MMA because it wasn't MMA back then, but I'm the one that wanted to do this NHB thing. I'm the one that wanted to fight and try to go somewhere with this. And these guys were just hobbyists. They just did it because they liked the UFC and they thought it was fun. And here I am trying to be serious, and this fucking asshole is trying to keep these guys from training with me. So finally, this Joseph guy comes into town, and supposedly he's the one that, like, fuck, I gotta get with this guy because he really knows shit. Like he's like supposedly super good. Well, John Bruno somehow hooks up with him before I do, and puts a bunch of bullshit in his head. And I think John Bruno told this Joseph guy that I was talking shit on him, which I wasn't. I never talked no shit on this guy. And I knew from word on the streets that this Joseph guy didn't like me because of John Bruno's bitch ass. And I guess they ended up renting a little gym area, up in this building. They were on like, I don't know, the third or fourth floor. And poor Will, because Will was in with this Joseph guy too, this Korean dude, and Will, they didn't have any mats, and they're like, oh, we need mats. So the nice guy that Will was, he let these guys borrow his mats, and they ended up stealing the mats. They never gave him the mats back when they closed down, and God knows where the mats are at now, but I heard someone took them into another town and put them in their basement. And so basically Will got his mats stolen from him, and he was doing this nice thing, giving these guys his mats, trying to get in with this Joseph guy, and then they ended up robbing him. So I think this Joseph guy was like doing like some cult shit. He had a group, and finally I can't remember. This is how it went. Okay, I was seeing them at these fights and stuff, and his guys were getting their ass kicked, and I was winning, so I was loving that shit. And finally, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to just go up to this Joseph guy and confront him and tell him, look, John Bruno's full of shit. This is who I am. Let's see if we can work this out. So I heard where his gym was at, so I just decided to stop up there and just pop in and see if I could, talk to someone. And I went in, and Joseph, this Korean guy, Joseph, was in there by himself. He let me in, and I talked to him. He's being super nice to me, and I said, look, I think John told you that I talked shit about you. And he's like, he did. And I said, look, I never talked no shit on you. I never said nothing. This is the problem with me and John. I told him what the problem was with me and John. And I said, hey, look, you know what I mean? I would like to train. I really want to do this. You've seen me fighting already. And I still had that herniated disc in my neck, so I'm still all fucked up. So I'm like, you see, I'm serious. You've seen me fight in the shows. You know what I mean? Let me train with you. You know, I can squash this shit with John Bruno if that's what I got to do to train with you. It's, you know, it's no big deal. I'm just trying to do this myself. I want to get somewhere. He's like, yeah, okay. He's like, that's fine. He said, come back this day. He's like, and you can try out. And I was like, try out? He's like, yeah, I'll give you a tryout for our fight team. So I'm like, I'm like, that's kind of weird, but I heard, like, you know, Ken Shamrock's team, the Lions Den, they did some tryout thing, so I'm like, all right. And he's like, oh, you have to do a bunch of push-ups. We'll put you through this routine, and then you'll live grapple everyone in the gym, and if you do good, then I'll let you come here and I'll let you train. And I told the guy that I had a bad neck and that I couldn't even do a push-up. And he's like, look, it's okay. We just want to see how hard you'll try. Like, will you quit? And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to quit. You don't got to worry about that. I'll try. He's like, okay, you know, come this day and we'll have tryouts. Well, this was a setup. He set me up. That dude really wasn't being nice to me. This was some dirty shit. So I go up there that day. You know, I bring my workout gear, and it's kind of just I had a bad feeling. Like, you got in this gut, like, it's not good. There was a bunch of people there, and I don't even think John Bruno was there that day, and I thought that was weird that he wasn't there. But there was probably 12 people there. There was even a few girls there, and they had Will's mats. They were, you know, nice mats on the ground, and he puts me through and they kind of just sit in this like seated karate sit, you know, like Indian style, but on their knees, and they're just sitting there, and they're all quiet, and they're all lined up, and I'm the only one on the mat, and he's telling me to do all these push-ups, sit-ups, jog in place, jumping jacks, burpees. He had me doing all this crazy shit. Like, he got me completely exhausted. He's like, all right, now you're gonna live grapple a couple guys. So then I live grappled a couple guys, and I still beat these guys, even though I was super tired and I couldn't even do a sit-up because of that herniated disc in my neck. So then the last guy I grappled was like his best guy. I can't remember his name. He was okay. He wasn't nothing special, but, you know, again, he's rested and he's their best guy. So I'm grappling him, and I'm doing pretty good, but he ends up getting my back, and he puts me in a rear naked choke, and you know, I can't escape, so I tap. This motherfucker didn't let go. So then I'm tapping, and this motherfucker isn't letting go, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm yelling like, what the fuck? You know, I'm screaming, and then finally he lets me go, and like, I'm just like holding my neck. Like, he didn't even have a good choke. It was like across my, I don't know, it was across my throat in a fucked up way, and it hurt my throat. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And then this Joseph guy, like, lost his mind. He started screaming and yelling at me. I don't even remember what the fuck he was saying because it was so long ago. Like, this was probably in late 2000 or 2001. He's calling me names and saying, you know, oh, you talk shit about me, blah, blah, blah. He was just screaming at the top of his lungs. Like, I felt like... And I'm sure Joseph knew that I was a street fighter, you know, and, you know, I got in a lot of fights. So I think I was almost scared that, because he's got all these witnesses. These guys were following this dude and doing whatever he says like it was a cult. And I felt like he brought me there. I really thought maybe he was going to kill me because he had witnesses, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like they were going to beat me up and jump me, and if I called the cops or something, they would have all these witnesses to say, oh, Dan started. And my reputation was, you know, I was a troublemaker. I got in a lot of trouble. So the cops are going to believe him. You know, he's this government guy, and he's got, 12 or 14 witnesses, and they're going to make up some shit and say I just came there and started some shit and got into a fight and they beat me up. So I really believe that they were going to jump me, and I was just hoping to God I could make it out of there alive. And he cussed me out or whatever. I got my shit and I left, and I was just like, oh, that motherfucker Bruno. Now I feel like he set me up too. I want to fucking fuck him up. So that ended that Joseph bullshit. So the Joseph thing was over with. I'm just like, I guess I'm not training with him. So now I got to figure out something.